They know what they're going to have to lane against. And then as long as it is something that can scale versus Alchemist, well, done. Easy. That should be your easy pickup here. I think we'll have to see what they end up going for. I don't think we should see them go for the Naga Siren, even though, I don't know, for some reason I feel like they could lean into it, but any illusion hero is going to immediately go up in value. Any hero that has natural anti-armor is going to go up in value versus the Alchemist. Any carry that feels more like a carry is going to be good versus this Alchemist. Because Alch's not in the best spot. He was kind of in a cool spot maybe 6 months ago, but then gets kind of untouched at TI, gets replaced by Pudge, as we kind of said a few weeks back. But I don't know. It's interesting. I think the best pick, let's see if they go for it. No, they go for the simple pick. Lifesteal versus Doom, classic counter. I was going to say maybe they pick up a lone druid, but okay, we're not going to talk about it. That's a playoff hero. We're not picking that hero just yet. But Nake's one of the best answers versus Doom in lane. Really hard to force out. A really tough situation for him, especially because the Jakiro's also double slow lane. Not fun for the Doom to deal with in the slightest. And of course, versus Alchemist, if you ever get caught net worth wise, well, Lifestealer just wins. Even if he doesn't get caught net worth wise, it's just where Open Wounds, everybody just rediscovered. Open Wounds is a pretty darn good shard. It does HP percentage damage. It spreads. Why does it spread? I don't know. It's just really one of the best heroes in the game. And if you ever see this Lifestealer look at items like an AC, well, Infamous are probably on the back foot and probably losing.
Yeah. I do want to ask you something kind of kicking around in my head a little bit. You just outlined all the things that make the position 1 Alchemist not really as successful anymore. That combined with where they take it, is there any chance that this is a switch up, that they try for some sort of Sebas mid Alch here, or is that just maybe too far out of the picture?
Well, if they go for Sebas mid Alch, then everybody on Infamous is useless. So I hope they don't do that, because and maybe there's an argument here where if Infamous really wanted to flex their positional muscles, they make this Alch an offlaner, and then they go with a wind, and then they make it a Doom mid or a Doom carry, in which case I like that a little bit more, just because you sack your Lifestealer lane regardless. Lifestealer's going to win whatever he goes up against, so might as well just give him the even freer matchup, and then sure, your Alch's going to struggle, but any hero in that position was maybe going to struggle. But then I think to myself, okay, well, it is Kataro, so Kataro's probably just going to do Alch things no matter what.
True.
Even though both mid laners, or both teams, are saying that each other needs a mid laner, and you have to agree. It's where there aren't very many bans on the Spirits. Of course, Ember's taken out, but I feel like we might see a battle of the Pucks, the Lenas, and the Storms at this rate. And now it's just a matter of almost rock, paper, scissors here in this final phase, where Infamous are thinking to themselves, can we ban out everything that we're going to feel uncomfortable with and then pick something in the down position so that way 5RAT can't just immediately counter us? Or do we run out of bans and then 5RAT get exactly what they want? That's what's always going into your heads when it comes down to these double last pick mid matchups. It just always ends up being a little bit scary, because if Infamous missed their bans by one hero, then 5RAT have their answer.
And we see those final bans. It's Lina from the Infamous side, Kunkka removed by 5RAT, and that is going to lead them into the Puck. So same hero, just swapping sides here, at least in terms of one half of the mid matchup. And now, well, on the 5RAT side of things, what do they look to match up against the Puck? They don't really have a lot of time to think this one over, ET. We've got 7 seconds of baseline time, 6 seconds of reserve, so Kits is going to have to make a choice here, but a lot of the mid options were removed earlier, and apparently they don't need that much time to think it over. Okay. Is that what I was expecting?
Brutal. And I was thinking to myself, they're not going to pick Storm into Puck, easy one. Void Spirit versus Puck is kind of your old answer whenever Void Spirit was a little bit more popular. Then I thought, okay, new wave, maybe they're going to pick Tusk, just because Tusk is still Tusk. It worked last game. It will continue to work, at least a little bit. But instead, they go for the direct one-to-one counter in lane, where Pudge just has 25 more damage than the Puck when it comes to last hitting. So now Sebas is going to have to watch every single creep get denied in front of his face, because Kits is a jerk. Done. That's why they go for the Pudge. So annoying, but we've seen this before, and I feel like in the last BTS Pro Series, this was kind of your simple but weird solution to early puck picks where, yeah, 24 pick Pudge, there's no room for Sebas. He has to sit in his lane. There's no room to kind of move heroes around now, unless Infamous really want to make things weird, which certainly they can, but I feel like they're just going to sit and lie with it. But this mid matchup is brutal. It is not fun. It is not easy. It's where Sebas is just going to have to kind of take XP. It's also up to Kits to kind of put him in the dumpster. If Kits isn't putting him in the dumpster, then he's kind of not playing the lane right. But I think Kits as a lane dominator has certainly shown that, funnily enough, unless he's against Red 2, is probably one of the best laners in the tournament so far.
Hmm. I mean, he did a pretty spectacular job in the last matchup, going up, well, against the Tusk there, which that was a little bit more expected. Now maybe he's in the position to be the one doing the bullying, but you expect good things from him, and a 5RAT's lineup here just feels... It feels really stable, right? It feels like there's not too many risks involved here. The big issues, the big questions really do seem to be on the opposing side with the Alk pick on the Infamous half of things, and I guess honestly the Doom as well, because we've seen maybe one or two different itemizations from the Doom in terms of where he looks for either utility or damage.
Yeah, and albeit aside from the lane, which will certainly be advantageous for Kits, it isn't the easiest Pudge game because DNM's going to be running and just sitting on top of heroes. That makes hooking a little bit more difficult. There's no just immediate stun, which is slightly problematic. But if a Bushwhack or an Ice Path does just connect, just out of the blue without any setup beforehand, heroes will get hooked eventually. It's just not your Ember Spirit plus Pudge that maybe we're used to seeing, or your even Puck plus Pudge, where you move the Pudge into that carry situation. So definitely a different position, but still, I feel like they're happy with it. It'll look good. It'll look pretty. If kids can make it look fancy, then they'll be even more satisfied. And with Thunder Awaken playing twice today, maybe we'll see even more mid Pudge, because Alone's a fan.
Meanwhile, just want to point something out that makes me love Infamous. Kataro went for a quick reconnect, if you might have been looking. But while he reconnected, his teammates just maneuvered him into the jungle. They did not pause the game because they were pretty sure he was coming back quickly. So, hey, thank you, Infamous. We had a pause at the start of the last game. It's always nice to avoid that. Obviously, if the issue for Kataro had been more serious, by all means pause the game. But he was just going for a quick reconnect, so not feel the need for that is. That is a very long, unstable concoction for level 1 there, but doesn't really help out. Just gets him a little bit of damage, but it's still going to be that 2-2 split on the bounty runes, and we get into the laning stage.
Well, and peep this out. Maybe, is this the new infamous word? Of course, completely thwarted if you just place an obs and a sentry on the eye spot, but I'm looking at this word and I'm saying, okay, I could see the benefits to this.
Yeah, I get. I don't know. It's an interesting spot, but as you said, if you just go for the normal D ward, you'll probably still see it. But hey, Infamous did that before on the opposite side of the river, right? We called it the Infamous ward for a long time. Again, maybe someone was doing it beforehand, but it was the first we had seen of it, so it earned its name. As in the lane itself, a little bit of early pressure being applied there to the Hoodwink, and well, this is what Katyu and Katara are really going to try to do here. You see another unstable concoction coming out, so hit him with the slows, hit him with the stuns, just go up and punch speed in the face, or I guess moves when he arrives back in the lane, and just really try to force them back that way.
Yeah, it's certainly annoying, and of course, this will be the answer for speed, is just going for the Wild Axis build instead, but maybe a smaller aspect, and we'll see if it actually comes into play, but a kind of synergistic lane here, because of course, if you cut the tree that is connected with the Bushwhack, once moves its level 2, well then the stun ends. So they have to cast their spells not at the same time. They have to instead go in what will look and feel like waves of damage, because otherwise they do have to just press both spells immediately. Well, then they're going to find that their lane doesn't really work.
Yeah, that's a bit of a rough one. Hopefully they're on the same page communication-wise, otherwise and there's not going to be a whole lot of fighting potential here. But here comes that fight. They're going to start with the slow, unstable concoction being channeled out for its max time. They threw down an acid spray too, so speed is taking a little bit of extra, and that extra is enough to drop him low. Cat, you comes in for the right click, and that's your first blood onto really a target I did not think was going to be the subject of that early pressure. Thought they would bully Moose more, but hey, you can keep the Beastmaster locked down for that long, might as well go for it.
Yeah, and it's the second time we've seen an Alk go for this build where it just catches you off guard. You don't expect them to get Greevil's Greed at level 3. You expect them to get it at level 1 and, you know, try to play, or even just level 2, just try to play for that advantage instead. And then, well, you get punished because you don't expect them to just do what feels like 300 damage from that level 1 unstable concoction.
Nice little start here for the safe lane, at least on the Infamous side, and I guess there's a chance to maybe take a look over at the other side, because DNM really should not have too much trouble here, right? He's a lifestealer in this lane. I do not see a whole lot that Oscar and Sladen can do to punish him unless your lifestealer just makes a pretty sizable mistake. AB1, though, well, as is usual for AB1, might be the subject of a lot of pressure and bullying.
Yeah, even though AB1 is about as strong as he can get right now, level 300 Kiro always feels pretty ridiculous just because you've got the second point in dual breath, and the liquid fire just makes any trade from the 4 just not really work, and they're going to try on AB1.
This seems a little bit risky, though. Oscar's getting chunked down a bit. I think they should be able to find the kill onto AB1 anyway, and well, now it's different, because the dual breath comes out a second time, and Oscar's going to die for it. Yeah. Looked like it could have been clean at the start, but obviously not the case in the end. But Sebas over in the middle lane was able to make a little bit of a play. It does cost him the rune as Kits hooks it out from under him, but he was able to get onto Moose and do a little bit of punishment there onto that Hoodwink. But now with the Hoodwink gone, yeah, Speed is kind of vulnerable too. And they're not going to be able to kill him this time. And actually, okay, Cat you gets pulled back in, and there's that timing you were talking about, ET. The axes have to be a little bit delayed, but it is still enough to find the kill.
Yep, really clean, really easy pick from them. Just too far up the lane, both 5s just get punished for that simple fact. Just a reset, just kind of losing control of that small camp and then getting punished because of it. But I think at the very least, all the carries are happy. Cores are very pleased so far, with only the supports dying and maybe Speed getting put under a little bit of pressure, but he's got his Home of Iron Will. Now that same play isn't really going to work. You'd need more points up in the acid spray before you're really going to feel that damage come through again.
So meanwhile, back mid, Sebas, well, not quite backing down against this punch. He's still got a little bit of nuke damage to work with, so trying to make the occasional trade-off, and yeah, for now at least it's going okay. Top lane, though, not so much. Moose stunned up inside the acid spray. He will be taken down. Speed now getting pushed back. Turns around for the axes, not enough damage for the kill. At the same time, over in the bottom lane, the fighting really starting to ramp up a little bit as Oscar actually goes down again, and now Sladen, is he going to be okay? With the wind run, there's not any right-click damage coming out onto him, and he will survive, but that's Oscar dead twice now in this lane, and honestly, I feel like if he doesn't go after the pressure, if he just sits back and takes his farm, there's not a whole lot they can do to him. It's when he tries to get aggressive and takes multiple dual breaths that he gets into trouble. As DNM, speaking of trouble, did get hit up by that shackle shot. Now the power shot comes in to take him down under the tower, and AB1 is gonna turn around for the DOT onto Sladen. Kit's coming in with the haste rune, should be able to finish it off, but he wants a little bit more. They're going for the hook. They pull Oscar out of the trees. He does have Dismember. He hit level 6. They're going to be able to clean up both kills. Now Sebas is here too. Both the mid laners rotate in, ET, and Sebas' kill is about the easiest one you could possibly get. Just takes one right click and then TP's back. But we are doing a little bit of early skirmishing here. 11 kills in 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, and then Puck TP's back mid, where the Hoodwink started to get the XP, and maybe Kits decides to flutter back around bottom, but they know that the Doom is going to be on that long walk back towards bot, so maybe Kits finds his play elsewhere. But Astrian Pudge, I mean, you can't ask for an easier play than that, and Kits will walk back towards that wind, and then hopefully maybe this will possibly connect onto Oscar as well, but the wave's pushing in. This is the perfect place to gank, but Sladen sees it, Yep, the lane ward has to be a raw hook. Actually, almost walks himself into it, but walks that one out. Now Kits is done with his plays.
Yep. Then on the other side of the map, Speed getting pressured up again. Moves, though, was able to TP in here, so throws out a bushwhack, clears that up. Sebes was looking for his angle, but backs off of it in the end. Dreamcoil was at the ready, but by that point, you're looking at a fight under a tier 1 tower, and even with the Dreamcoil, that's going to be hard to pull off. But over on the other side, the fighting continues. Kit still didn't leave. He goes back in. They take Sladen out. That is a missed point-blank hook onto Oscar, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but they found another pick. Kits is really starting to get active here, 3-0, and his net worth is a couple hundred above his laning opponent.
Yeah, just really good stuff here. There is a rotation on mid, but yeah, immediate D-ward. As soon as they see Kits run like that, then yeah, they're pretty aware that they're underneath vision, but all battle for the 8-minute. Oh, hook doesn't land though, and now Moose has to kill the illusion rune. Unfortunate, but it's the battle of the runes that we always see. 6 heroes mid.
Yeah, they're not going to be willing to give up those runes without a fight, so... Well, to be honest, if you're Infamous, I think you're still pretty okay with that, right? The rune doesn't go into your hands, but it doesn't go to Kits either. He doesn't get the hook. Sladen is now wrapping around here, but the Dismember's already gone down. They're going to be able to cancel it there, and... Do they go back in? Yeah, they do. Dreamcoil is going to be deployed. Now the backup has to TP forward. Kits is just trying to hold his ground. Can he survive? That's a very nice ice path out from AB1, actually locking some heroes down. The power shot will miss. Sladen dies, and Sebas, is he going to get it? There we go. The illusory orb will get the job done. Does he jump away? Yes, he does. He should be all right to make his way out of here, and while all that goes down, there is a bit of a trade up top. Speed finally in a 1v1, catches out Catyu, does have to use his roar, but gets something good there for his team. But the level of fighting that we're seeing mid ET, right? That's, what, 5 or 6 heroes all mid? It's not what you normally expect to see. Normally those fights are around the runes. That time it's just a straight dive on the tower.
Yeah, and a dive that almost would have gone awry if Kits had maybe just a little bit more life, or perhaps a cloak in his inventory. That would have been just absolutely terrible. And now the play on Oscar doesn't connect too quickly, but he will just eat him. He will get his eat canceled, but this might be enough damage. Kits needs to be careful though in DNM.
Oh,
okay.
No. Okay, AB1, he's going to finish the job at least, but I don't really know if that's worth what they had to put together there. You lose... Oh, hold on. Okay, never mind. That was for the rune. Thought he was looking for the hook play for the initiation, but now Sladen wants to initiate. Shackle shot connecting onto AB1. They're going to hit him up with a silence as well, and the orb will finish the kill. So AB1 does get punished in the end. 2-for-1 trade, and yeah, if you're Infamous, you're okay with that. Oscar was already kind of a little bit lower on the totem pole in terms of his net worth, so you're able to trade him for a support and the opposing carry, you'll take it.
Yeah, it just feels like Kit's maybe trying to force a little bit too much there, and then of course breaking off a little bit too fast, so DNM can't even think about getting inside of him for a nice walk away. But
Oh
no,
boy.
yeah,
Just a very aggressive roar. And Catyu, I mean, this is how he got picked off the last time, so to a certain extent, you kind of feel like he would have learned his lesson there. But he goes back in for the same play, gets taken down, but over on the other side of the map, the Doom applied to DNM. They will take him down again. This time, there isn't really much of... Okay, never mind. There might still be a trade, because Oscar's in some trouble. Shackle shot comes in, but he's just taking too much damage. Oscar will fall. Kits does not have hook for 8, so they're not going to be able to chase any further, but this Doom, I mean, he's really not having a good time. At least, he is Doom. He's got Devour for the gold, but it's only a level 1 Devour ET, and he hasn't finished his Midas yet, so the catch-up gold's not coming for quite some time.
yeah, no, that is pretty terrible. And honestly, his net worth doesn't even make sense to me. I understand that you have been forced into a pretty awful position, and with that death, you certainly ruin a good portion of DNM's game, as AB1 gets taken down as well. But I guess Sladen's just been taking everything, which is just odd to say, because of course, Sladen, he's level 8, he definitely took the tome level-wise. It just doesn't make sense how far behind Oscar really is. For a second, I thought his Midas recipe was on the courier, but no, that's just it. And in the meantime, Speed, 5k net worth, has a Helm Dominator, they just take the mid tower because there simply is no time to defend because you want to open up this bottom Radiant jungle. But Oscar needs to, I don't know, needs to get something going for himself. I feel like it has to start with the levels, but that's why I am so surprised that Sladen's just been sapping everything. Because sure, he feels like a king, but level 1 Devour ain't gonna really fix this just yet.
I think for Oscar, it wouldn't be as bad if it weren't for all of the deaths for him. He's 0, 5, and 5. Sladen's 4, 3, and 4, so he has been taking some experience and obviously some of the kill gold for himself. But if this were 2 or 3 deaths instead of 5, right? Oscar's net worth is bumped up a little bit, and we're not quite as concerned. So the early pressure applied to him instead of Sladen has really kind of set him back here, but I don't know. I mean, he's still making progress. The Midas will come eventually, and then we'll reassess, and you still have the Alk on the other side to sort of balance those scales. Part of the reason Infamous obviously are still holding a net worth lead, but Kataro went for the Battle Fury build, right? He's going to be farming for at least a little while longer, so the guy who you would look to be your playmaker in the Doom obviously isn't going to be able to do so, and the rest of the team is getting jumped in on here as Katyu gets pulled back in by the hook into the Dismember. DNM gets a bit of a freebie with the kill, and those are the plays you have to watch out for a little bit here. Lifestealer just finished off his armlet, and well, Kits with the blink is not going to be sort of slowing down anytime soon. Top lane speed. I'm not sure if they want to go back in for this. They tried to use the roar onto Sebas. They weren't able to get the kill initially. Still not able to get it with the Satyr sort of chasing after, and that's everybody's cue to back off.
Yeah, but it's the entire lineup having to respond to 2 heroes. Puts a lot of pressure out of DNM, even though he's bottom in a situation where he's got no tier 1. This is where you'd say DNM shouldn't be allowed to farm this, but instead, he's just able to take the most dangerous part of the map. Kits himself even was farming all the way up past near that tier 2 mid on the Dire side. Just means that I think Infamous are struggling to deal with some of this aggression. And they are waiting for Kataro, large in part. They want to wait for either his BKB or his Blink Dagger after his 1 damage item, but the Eat comes through, and that's a pretty darn easy kill onto Sladen. And Kits is just continuing to make small plays, but plays and picks that end up working more often than not. And with an Arcane Rune, he's got the Eat back up pretty much immediately, and they're smoking towards that Hawk Vision towards top. They can get the immediate Blink Dismember. Sebas, he's going to have to react very quickly. Same with Kataro. And Kataro's ulti, well, it just timed out.
This is a problem.
This would be the worst timing, but...
We got the Blink part down, but Sebas is able to sidestep it. They did have that ward there to kind of give him the heads up. Although, okay, never mind. That is beyond max hook range there, so... Not a bad play from Infamous. Yes, they kind of dangle 2 of their cores, probably the 2 most important cores, but they're able to stay safe. Kataro never broke rhythm on his farming, so all's well that ends well. As this is kind of interesting. Kataro, the BKB's queued up now, but he did go for the Sanjin Yasha first, so when the BKB is completed and they do look to start fighting around him, he's going to have that little bit more in terms of damage and durability that might help him up against some of these tanky heroes on the 5RAT side. And speaking of 5RAT, they're looking for a bit of a fight here. That's a nice Gale Force in from Sladen that's going to disrupt a little bit of it, but it doesn't actually stop the Dismember cast. Sebas still gets locked down, taken out. Sladen then gets hooked back in, and yeah, there's the downside of your shard. It is not actually an interrupt.
Yeah, and, you know, Infamous, they can move past that team fight real easy. Unfortunately, it might come at the cost of Roche, because Helm of the Overlord's finished, so Speed says, yeah, it's time. Killing Roche with the Santa hat, you know, it's always sad to see. But there's no real way for them to defend. Guitar's about to stun himself as well. And this is just going to be that free first Aegis. But simply from Infamous, there is no team fight that will win for them if Sebas is just able, or Kits is able to just eat Sebas. That's not allowed. The Pudge cannot find the puck ever. If Sebas ever gets caught, then Infamous can't win that team fight. It's where once Sebas has his Blink Dagger, of course, that gets a whole lot harder for 5RAT to actually kind of land those abilities, but at the same time, no more mistakes from the puck. Otherwise, this game is going to get a whole lot harder.
There is a little bit of good news there, right? The Midas was finished off a little while back by Oscar, so his net worth is starting to tick back up a little bit. He's getting close to Kit's right now. The problem is, as his net worth and his farming speed goes up, we're seeing the puck kind of dropping off a little bit. So if you can finish this Blink Dagger, as you pointed out, that could really, really be the solution. But for now, it just feels like the timing is really off on the Infamous side.
Yeah, they're just playing around the peculiarity that this ALK brings and hoping that this time around, double BKB is maybe a little bit more impactful and it will be more synergistic. Your ALK and your Doom are going to have it at pretty much exactly the same time. Pair that up with Sebas's Blink Dagger, and then you've got yourself a pretty nice timing. But then, it's all up to Sebas to find that backline. If he can find the Jacurum, the Hoodwink, cause chaos, not get caught by Aurora, it's where they need a lot of great vision to lay the framework there to really let Sebas run wild. But if you can find those supports, then you win. As Kits, that's a pretty pathetic hook. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But...
yeah. Worth a shot, but not a high percentage play made there. But hey, he's able to walk away. TP's mid, keeps farming, so not too much lost. And with the tier 2 tower taken in that top lane, this north side jungle opens up even further for 5RAT to try and exploit. And if you're Infamous, now is not the time to be losing farming space. The ALK obviously claims, you know, at least half the opportunities your team is going to have just by virtue of being ALK, but you still need more from the rest of the lineup, as Katyu, well, he's making them work for it, that's for sure, but there's not a whole lot you can do in that circumstance. Doesn't even really have a force staff or anything, so just a slow and painful pickoff.
No, unfortunately, gets taken down. Can't really say too much about it, and taken down in a situation where, yeah, gotta be careful. Getting closer to that vision. All it needs, Thrower is probably their best way to start onto the puck. Now,
okay, he just saw him.
Yeah. And during the night time, that's really the scary situation where wards are just a little bit too valuable and Hawks are even more valuable. They do see AB1, and they'll try to get a quick pick here, but nope.
Hits is in, and then they use the Shackle on the Jakiro as well, so there's not the immediate cancel. It looks like, though, well, never mind. I was going to say Sebas can get away. He can get away from the Dismember, but the Ice Path is thrown out directly under his feet, and we always talk about the strength of that Ice Path, right? There is no immediate jump out if you do get caught, and AB1 honestly kind of has the last laugh there. They go from setting up onto him to losing the puck because of him.
Yeah, just overextends a little bit and then plays exactly into 5RAT's nighttime advantage there. During the day, it's going to be a lot harder to get puck. You're going to be a lot less obvious for these plays, but really, at nighttime, it's all about the vision game. In that situation, he lost out. Rest of the team still making good use of the map, though, as Oscar finishes up his BKB, is now going to look for the Blink Dagger and probably a Centaur Creep to actually get that easy initiation going for yourselves. But, okay, if the last death was too much, then Sebas really can't afford to die anymore. At the very least, though, 5RAT have been pretty slow to move onto a lot of these objectives. It comes at part of the reason why Kit's getting this first Aegis. It's good because now Kits can be just a psycho running at you, but there's no easy way for DNM to siege or get up onto these buildings. If anything, they're really just playing at Speed's pace right now, and you have to wait for your Beastmaster to take these buildings. It's why they haven't gone mid just yet. As well as Katyu doing a pretty fine job of always having an enchanted creep pushing in that wave pretty easily. Just doesn't allow 5RAT to steamroll your buildings. Even though Sladen, gonna pop the smoke, might just be your dead hero. You know, Sebas. Okay.
Sebas is able to sort of cancel things a little bit there. Sladen is still going down, but if they trade him for Kits, well, they trade him for Aegis. But I don't know if they have the means to try and go back in. Sebas has Dream Coil, but once he sees how many heroes are here, doesn't want to be involved in this. They're just going to back it off. Hook. Not really all that close. Sort of a blind one there from Kits, but I don't know. Aegis was expiring in 20, right? Might as well put it to some use just so it doesn't expire for nothing, and they at least get a pick.
Yeah, just get something for their smoke play. Was kind of scary as well. Sebas felt a little bit slow to react, but now he's back bottom, and of course, Lifestealer is not going to be able to put a finger on him, so this bottom wave is going to get cut, and then, yeah, support dies. Just Katyu trying to ward, trying to de-ward, and with that, now they get to play on this tier 2 mid. There are cores behind the Lifestealer, though, funnily enough. Katara's going to start farming the Radiant side of the map because, well, they're aggressing right now. But Kataro's got to be careful. He can't
Ooh.
just straight up BKB TP out in this game. And now he won't. Oh, no. He has to fight.
BKB popped. There's the Dismember, though. He's going to self-stun in a moment as the BKB actually did not wear off. So he's okay.
That kid's just didn't greed out long enough there. Kind of surprised. I guess maybe thinking that he would have been able to escape or get too far away if he created that distance, but it's the perfect bait play from Kataro. The self-stun even just ended up hitting too many heroes. That was a situation where Kataro's 100% dead, but just kind of got a little excited there from 5RAT.
Yeah. A little bit off on the timing. They think, hey, if we catch him here, that might be our high ground push. And it probably could have been, but now they need to take another fight, and they need to make sure that they don't lose speed right away. That's a bit of a problem. Speed already dead, and now they're in onto Kits. They hit him up with the Doom. They lock down the kill. Starting to look a little bit rough. AB1's going to try to make some sort of escape here, but he's a Jakiro, so not exactly very fast, and they will take him down. That's a third kill on the board. I don't think they're going to catch up to Moose here. Yeah, the Hoodwink's just going to use the Scurry to help get him away, so at least you mitigate some of those casualties, but that's 3 dead, and, well, Infamous needed something to get a win, to buy some time, to create more farming opportunities, and that works quite nicely.
Yeah, and okay, it looks like DNM's gonna kick Katara out of his jungle here. I can't really assume that Katara's just gonna not just gonna die.
He's got BKB. Actually, I mean, there's nothing Lifestealer can do to cancel it, so he could just try and TP right now, and he should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now they're going to eventually start turning this one around. They jump in onto Moose, so they were just trying to bait out another kill, but yeah, that's a problem. Kits comes in, Dismember canceled immediately, though. Silence does come in from the puck, and that weird 1v1 fight is going to turn into an actual engagement here that, of course, will cost Katyu his life, because Katyu has to die. He always has to die. It's just the way of the world.
See, and I so excitedly want to talk about that previous fight, but then that happens, and then you're just staring, just wondering what's going on here. DNM doesn't have a basher, but Kataro doesn't have anything else going on. Never mind.
Yeah.
But Kataro has an AC, so Kataro's happy, and we'll have to see now, because previously, the real reason why that fight works so well and the really baiting Kataro's lack of BKB is what made that smoke so surprising from 5RAT, but now Kataro doesn't have BKB, it's 30 seconds, it's where instead of smoking, 5RAT are just looking to play in the lanes, and with 1:05 on Roche, we could see 5RAT just march up towards that top outpost, an area that Infamous need to reclaim right now, at least get the outpost while there's no vision up here, but then it's going to be a battle for the Roche, a battle that I don't know if Infamous is really ready for yet, as Kataro narrowly TP's out, but the rest of his team is hunting. If they find picks on that top side of the map, especially on the Kits, that could be their way blown wide open into a return Aegis. Could be huge for Infamous.
They are starting to make their way across. They check the pit first, just a little bit early. And while that goes down, Speed does take the tier 1 tower bot, so they are giving up maybe an objective or two in this process, but they are going to be able to find someone. It's not the most valuable kill in the world, and it's not a kill that they are even really going to get, because Moose is just going to get himself away. Blink, Scurry, TP, he's gone.
Yeah, always interesting to see Wind versus Hoodwink, just because they're both so very similar heroes, especially when it comes to the escape, but Moose is just in with it. Just the trees are too powerful, even though that was a coil that was expended, and they do scout out the Roche, something that 5RAT have yet to go for just yet. They're waiting for TPs to come in through bottom. That's why Speed is still here with the cart, with the rest of his menagerie, just putting on a lot of that annoying chip damage onto the tier 3. And as soon as they see Sladen back in the base, now it's going to be 5RAT's turn to scout out the Roche, as it should be. Unfortunately, if they go for a smoke right now, this lane ward in mid will scout them out, so need to be a little bit more cautious. Might need to retreat or place down a few sentries before they go for that play, but Infamous, in the meantime, placed really great control. They have both high ground wards near the pit right now on their side of the map, so they are completely ready to make this contest happen.
They do just need to be a little bit careful here, because the Beastmaster does have the shards, so this Hawk could go for a little bit of a dive bomb play if Infamous start moving. They are starting to drift away from it for the time being, so I think they're going to be okay on that front as Oscar, well, max level Devour, gets in there, just straight up eats Speed's creep, and then walks away.
And this is this most dangerous timing for really both of these squads. It's at night. You're gonna react a little bit slower to those jumps. It's all about the vision here,
Oh,
and it's
Katara.
where on the low ground. Yep.
That was dangerous. They're going to go in, though. They get the Dream Coil, and the Gale is actually going to force the snap, but DNM and Kits, yeah, they get the Infest Bomb down. They'll take out Sebas, so now a lot of the damage has to come from Katara, but he's going to get hit up by the Roar. He is out of the fight for now, as Katyu is going to get taken down, and now Uralk is fighting by himself. A Doom was applied onto the Pudge, but Katara has to actually chase after him looking for the damage. He does manage to get off that very nice Unstable Concoction. That will allow them to finish the job. The problem is the Alk had to lay everything out to chase that, so he loses all of his health, and now Slade's going to get cleaned up too. They just wait for the Wind Run to run out. They hit him with the Bushwhack. They will take the fight. They will take the pit. They are just about guaranteed the Aegis here.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations where I wish I had a replay, because looking at it, what caught Sebas, I feel like it was just the Roar, the plain old Roar, but it was a perfect setup from them. They hit a 3-man Hoof Stomp, well, I guess technically Hoof Stomp, War Stomp. They hit a 3-man or 2-man Shackle, they hit a 3-man Coil, everything lands, but because they lose Sebas so early on into the fight, it doesn't matter. They had all 3 high ground wards in that situation around the pit. That was Infamous doing everything they could to give them the best chance at that perfect jump. And then you wonder, did Oscar find the right Doom target by going for the Pudge? It ended up killing the Pudge, but just ended up not being enough. And, of course, Infamous not playing with support buybacks at that time, you don't get that immediate response. And because you're on the Radiant side of the map, it's so simple for AB1 to just buy back, just immediate into the fight. He wanted to die almost in that situation because it results in his team having such a successful engagement. And now we're getting to critical mass point for this Lifestealer, where it doesn't matter if you have 7,000 gold over him on the Alk, because he just kills you. He just runs at you, and there's nothing to get you off of him right now. Really, it is just going to become that Doom, but even if the Lifestealer is doomed, he's still a really scary hero.
Yeah, DNM doesn't really have to care too much about that, and yeah, Sebas in that fight just gets caught because he drops the Dream Coil and the Gale Force onto 3. The 2 that they did not hit was Kits with DNM infested inside of him. So they blink, they get the Dismember, and I think that's what blows Sebas up at the start of that fight. So the initiation's great, it's just they lost track of the 2 heroes that they really couldn't afford to have no vision on.
Yeah, now, well, pushing in, closing off the map. One thing that is different, though, is there is certainly a lot more space to work with right now. Infamous don't feel like they're not getting any more items. They're at least able to play on at least what feels like half of the map, but still, they are starting to get bottled up. 5RAT are starting to really take away this control, and that realm of luxury that we always talk about with 5RAT is getting up there. The supports are getting so much more farm. Speed is still building himself up, becoming one of those true cores, as he always does. Just feels like they're finding just many more items than Infamous right now.
They are definitely off to a really solid pace for themselves, and they are eyeballing this bottom lane. Speed already took a big chunk out of that tier 3 prior to that fight around the pit, so it's at about half HP, and they aren't going to start hitting it up. That might just force some sort of response out from Infamous, and you do see them making their way around, looking for the long wrap, but yeah, 5RAT knows something is up here. No one has shown up on the front line to defend, but they don't quite get the timing right there with the hook, so Sladen walks away, and well, they may not have gotten a fight ET, but they do at least slow down the push. The problem is slowing down is not enough. Someone actually has to be here to stop it. Otherwise, this is going to happen. DNM gets in, takes the tower, and now goes onto the racks.
Yeah, and it's not the fastest push in the world by any means, but hey, it's going to work. It's inevitable. There's no Deso or anything up, and the hook almost lands on the Katyu, but still, without a creep wave cut, they could even go mid. There's no glyph, and 5RAT are very aware of this fact. They just need to be maybe slightly cautious for DNM to get a little bit low here, but that's where, worst case scenario, he just hops in the helm of the Overlord creep and then speed runs it out. It's where there really isn't that easy of a vessel to get onto him. The creep wave does eventually get cut, though, and backdoor will kick in another 15 seconds or so. So instead, 5RAT will have to go back towards mid and then push that wave in, but They send Kits back. The rest of the lineup stays in the dire triangle, and well, mid's up next. Infamous are going to have to respond eventually.
Hmm. Need something. At this point, they can't afford to just give up another lane with only token resistance, but... Well,
I don't think
what's
so.
coming up here item-wise? What could they be looking at? There's an Aether Lens up on Oscar, so... Could get the Octarine Core upgrade. He's got that and a Lincoln sort of in his quick buy, so... We'll see which one he goes for. We'll see if he even has the time to finish that off, because here comes that push. Creep Wave is cooperating, getting them onto the Tier 3 tower. And they're going to take this pretty quickly. There's a Silver Edge picked up on the Alchemist now, so he does pack a little bit more of a punch, but... Well, where and when can they deliver that punch? Because it still just looks like their defense is so heavily... I guess scared, really.
No, high ground. They get the tier 3. They're going to reset. 25 seconds on Aegis, so no reason for them to really lay themselves out. But now DNM has a full Lincoln Sphere to replace, so he pops that Rage, and he's not going to be touched. He can't get doomed anymore. Not to mention, he can also put it on what could be the hero. Let's see if DNM gets the sick reaction and then just pops the Doom regardless. But it's not like Oscar's looking for an Ags. He does have the Octarine Core. Huge item on Doom. Makes it so much easier to not only blink in, but also just find the Doom target that you actually want. But, okay, they smoke up on Aegis expiring, and if Infamous don't find an angle, 5RAT are just going to win. See it. They're looking on this mid wave.
Yeah, well,
This is on
they just saw the
Cat
hook.
so now, yeah, they know where the Pudge is. Still cutting in. Sladen is looking for supports.
Ooh, Shackle's going to get dodged now. He's in trouble. Lockdown taken out right away. Taro's going to force it. This is not a good idea, though. Oscar gets stunned up. The Doom does come out, but it doesn't really hit anything. And there's that Lincoln Sphere. And, well, Sladen has a buyback. Oscar does not. So this high ground defense is, let's not say impossible, ET, but it seems unlikely.
It's another lane. It's where Sladen has to make sure that these creep waves actually die, and somebody has to go top right now, because you can't defend these racks, but if they're just able to swing for that top tier 3, well, it's doomsday situation. But what a great bait from 5RAT. They just finish the Lincolns, then the life store literally sits in the Pudge until that team fight breaks out, and then it's worst case scenario from Oscar. In the high stakes situation, it's not like you can doom any slower, and now they know about it, but it's too late. Onto the final tier 3.
Meanwhile, Moose just solo killed Sebas. That's... Well, that's just a straight-up disaster. Sebas is the lone member of Infamous who has his buyback, but... Oh, okay, that makes a little more sense. He's got an E-Blade on Moose. I was wondering how in the world he has the damage output for that, but E-Blade into Sharpshooter kind of makes a bit more sense.
And now, awkward situation. 25 seconds. Do you try to buy back on the puck and then say that, okay, we're just playing for this one last team fight, or are they going to try to hold it? Looks like it's going to be the latter, but now they got to push in those other waves. The pressure's going to come in. DNM with another Rage is just going to walk and get more free damage on the racks, and you've got one building left. There's no glyph. All this damage is going to be felt. It's DNM. The Doom.
They're able to get through that defense, but... Yeah, there's where Kits makes his play. He's able to get in. You may have doomed my teammate, but you can't stop me from eating him. And now they're going to go back in. Kits pushes forward. They take down Oscar again. Kataro's taken out as well, and there's no buyback on Oscar still. There is one on Kataro, but by the time he's back in, they've already lost Katyu. Katyu, though, popping a buyback as well. All hands on deck here for Infamous, but the Megas have been acquired. And even if they take a fight right now, ET, they have no Dream Coil, they have no Doom. I just don't see how they do it. They gotta try, though, right? I mean, losing tier 4s.
They're not going to give up. And Speed getting caught. He still has BKB, though. That's the problem. They just use so little top. And sure, getting closer. Might need to dodge Katara's stun, but then Katara stuns himself, and now Sebas is able to blink out of that one. But yeah, had to blink forward, and now you're going to get a buyback out of the puck.
Yep, there it is. Sebas has to commit it. All buybacks either unavailable by time or money, as the hook is going to connect. They get Sladen. He's able to force staff himself away, though, so he is going to survive. And now Kataro, he wants to try and push back in. Unstable Concoction. Any targets? No. Speed had BKB'd already, so he's going to self-stun. And they need to go for someone, but Sebas jumps the gun. He gets roared as soon as he initiates. That is a dieback from the puck, and they just can't kill anybody, AT. They get someone low. Kits just eats him and walks away. They start to heal up. Now they're going to pop back out again, and Yeah, this really has to be the end. The GG will be called. Infamous will concede defeat, and 5RAT, they come in here, ET, they get the 2-0. Now they have to sit back and watch the rest of today's games play out, but they have done everything that they could have possibly done.
Yeah, and now in contention for your top seed, maybe hoping the Thunder Away can take a dive here, but end the group stage with 11 wins. Hey, looking great, feeling great. I think 5RAT are extremely happy, not to mention, okay, maybe they had some CM Naga openings, maybe DNM didn't get to flex his muscles too much, but with the hero variety coming into the playoff stage, I think 5RAT just ticked every box. They've
Mhm.
done so many different things so far. When it comes to what you actually see ban-wise coming up versus those actually invited teams in those playoff stages, I wonder what teams are going to look at because 5RAT's just kind of done it all. Their hero variability is just so high. I feel like they're really in a great spot. I think now I don't know. I still think a lot of this team still comes from speed as kind of the heart of what we're actually able to do. I still think he is at large and kind of at the beginning and the end of a lot of their ideas, but I still am looking over at Kits. I don't want to say DNM's not doing too much, but he doesn't have to do a lot with speed and Kits playing the way they are. But man, Kits is just coming into this tournament and looking so great. It's honestly great to see from him.
Mhm. They're playing off each other in the same way that we were sort of talking up Dogchamp recently when they got RCY. The fact that he and Stonebank could kind of trade off who is the focus. 5RAT have a similar scenario. It can come from the 1, it can come from the 2, and you always know maybe Speed, Moose, and AB1 will not win you any games, but they sure as hell won't lose you opportunities either. So you've got that sort of star power from your 2 main cores, and you have stability from the rest of the lineup. That is a winning formula 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and sadly, we have to say goodbye to Infamous, which does smart just a little bit. Again, their worst placement since I think it was BTS Pro Series like 4. It's been a while. It's been a long time coming, but in the most competitive, I think BTS Pro Series to date, something was going to have to break, and for a squad as new as they are coming into this, kind of felt inevitable, but we'll have to see what they can do in the other tournaments that they're going to play in. It's not like they're going to give up on Dota or anything. It's not that big of a loss, but I think that's where it's maybe time to reestablish and rethink themselves, especially for Kataro, because man, just hasn't felt like he's been able to get to those deeper stages of a lot of these tournaments. Just feels like, especially him, just coming out premature a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we know what he's capable of in the right circumstances, but he hasn't been able to put himself in those circumstances in recent times. So it is unfortunate. We say goodbye to Infamous in this tournament. We knew they weren't going on anyway, but they have now played their final match. So we move on, ET. We move on from a series that was all about seeding here for 5RAT to a best of 2 that is going to determine who that final seed in the top 4 is going to be. We've got Hikori going up against Wildcard Gaming, both sides on the outside looking in at the moment, but well, depending on the outcome, one of those 2 teams is going to claim that final top 4 spot. So we'll break down maybe more of the specifics about who needs what when we do get into that draft. For now, though, we will be stepping away, but we're going to be back for Hikori versus Wildcard in really just about 10 minutes. So stick around, and we'll be back with that next best of 2.